Dr. Tom Dobbins is relatively new as the Director of Extension. As you told us in your introduction, though, you've had a long association with agriculture. Tell me what you have seen as the challenges in your role and what you are doing to meet them, please.
Well, Amanda, number one is the biggest challenge is to make sure that we're strategically placed where we will continue. You know, last year we celebrated our 100th year, and to make sure we celebrate 100 more years in the Extension Service.
A different set of players, but still.
And you think about it, a lot of people realize that Extension Service is for agriculture, but really the mission of Extension Service is to improve the well-being of the family. So we have programs in 4-H agriculture, food, nutrition, health, and natural resources. So we span the whole family and make sure that they understand the value of what we do. Now, in our strategic plan, the first thing on my job is I found out we did not have a strategic plan. And so our strategic plan was put together by agents and approved by us. It was approved July the 10th. Dr. Callahan and myself have gone through it and made some changes to it, and we're going to have go live with it October the 2nd. We will have a news conference, so to speak, out to our extension agents.
Well, give us a little idea of what we might expect and what you've identified as the great needs.
Well, the great needs that we're looking at, number one is we're going to grow strategically. Back in 2008, we had a reduction of over 48% in staff and faculty. We're starting to rebuild. We've hired 11 new agents this year, but we're placing those agents where we think that we need to have them. And we're not just going to put agents in every county to do the same old thing. There's going to be strategically placed, such as Vicky is covering 2 counties in horticulture. We got area foresters, we got area livestock people, we got area horticulturalists, we got area food safety folks, and so
and
those
really
are the
with the
type
new
of people.
Communication devices that are here, we can have people covering large areas.
We can, and the only thing, my goal is to have one 4-H agent in every county, because I think it's important that the 4-H stays locally in every county. But I think the way that we expand and what we're trying to do in the Extension Service is to meet the need of the future generations, and that's in financial. That's to make sure that they understand how to farm correctly. That's to make sure they understand what's in the foods that they eat. That's to make sure that when we call in and have great shows like this, that we have trained horticulturalists that can help our families become more adept. If you look at the way our society's going, we're going into a lot more community-oriented places.
Yes,
down in Charleston, I just had a great pleasure of visiting the Summer Corner, where they are embedding the Extension Service into that total community there in Charleston with the Master Gardener program, and also with 4-H and some other things that we're doing. And you know, I wake up every morning and can't believe the job that I have. I get to work with great people like we have here. And I know Tony has seen a lot of trials and tribulations just as you have, and then Vicky is relatively new to our staff, but the dedication that Teresa and some of these agents are giving to us and to making sure that our families in South Carolina have unbiased information to make correct decisions that will help their families is just a great thing. And so our strategic plan addresses all of that, and I'm just excited about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Because I will tell you, we have the greatest group of people working for us at Clemson University Cooperative Extension Service anywhere. I'll put my agents, my specialists up against anybody. It's just a great day to be in the Extension Service.
Well, and I think from the standpoint of being associated with Clemson, we feel like we have such support because we feel like the whole focus on agriculture has been increased and enhanced.
It has.
With our new president
our
and
new president, President Clements.
He's serious.
He is a serious person, and he is a great supporter of the Extension Service. He tells in every aspect, where he's talking to IPTAY, where he's talking to alumni, that the front door of Clemson University is a cooperative extension office, and he also believes that. Our provost, Dr. Jones, is a Clemson graduate in forestry. Dr. Jones loves the Extension Service. He comes by and talks to us, and every time we send a newsletter out, he and President Clements comments on the Extension newsletter. And then, of course, our Vice President, Dr. George Askew, is a Clemson graduate, understands our system so well, was director at Baruch before he was moved to PD and was director at PD and was an area director for the Extension Service. And so Dr. Askew is committed to our service. And so we just got such great people to work with at Clemson that really support what we're doing. And not only that, the Department of Agriculture, Farm Bureau, and the South Carolina Agribusiness Council, this is the first time in 30 years, Amanda, that I felt like that I'm part of a true team that has put egos aside, and we're trying to make a better life for South Carolinians.
And agriculture is the largest business for our state, so we have to have a commitment and we have to have a plan for keeping it healthy. Vicki, you're relatively new, even though probably 8 years now, and how do you see your role in the community and how it's changed and how you can see it expanding under Dr. Dobbins' leadership?
Well, you know, it was one of those things whenever I first got hired, there was less than 80 extension agents whenever I was hired in 2001, and it's been really great. We've had a lot of growth. You know, we've hired what 40, almost 50 agents since I've been here, and so it makes it whenever we hire more people, it's easier for us to be able to leave our office and go out and start taking programs out instead of waiting for people to come to us. We can actually take programs out to other people.
And Tony, you have anything to chime in with?
Well, we have great things happening over in the PD, Miss Amanda. It's just things are going on over there. We're working on the PD Research and Education Center. It's going to have some new buildings, and research and extension is working together wonderfully because folks like Dr. Dobbins and Matt Smith, they're working together great and doing great programs that's going to help the farmers and the homeowners of South Carolina.
And you brought a young man with you who's there to serve kind of as an interpreter between this highbrow research and people like me who may have a little hard time understanding it.
And sometimes, you know, we need to understand. That's one of the biggest things Extension can do is get out and tell people what is actually happening to produce the food that we need in this world, because you know, I see United States, we're producing a major part of the food supply in this world, and other countries are looking at us and licking their lips. In fact, they wish they had what we had in South Carolina.
Well, it's important for world
States.
peace. I mean, that is. And Vicki, you said that HGIC has been such a help to me. Have you felt that way too?
It's one of those things where you know, I call it all the time. It's not that I call it. I call Millie, and I check those fact sheets every day, several times a day. Of those over 2 million hits, I'm sure that I'm half of them. But so, is there, Dr. Dobbins? Is there anything that's going on in particular with HGIC?
Well, that's part of the strategic plan. Number one, HGIC is the top hit web page at Clemson University.
Is it really?
Bar none.
Well,
It's
it should be.
The most hit web page at Clemson University.
And it stands for Home Garden Information Center.
And Millie is doing a great job, and I am transitioning, or we are transitioning Millie into being a full-time director of HGIC. We have already hired 2 new people to go full-time to extend our call-in hours. As I went around the state in my tour of the counties, I found out that one of our big faults was that we did not have the call center at HGIC opened up long enough. And so Millie is right now, as she'll be transitioning when we announce the other changes that we'll make in the strategic plan, and we plan to grow HGIC. The other thing that y'all that I have not announced and was waiting October 2nd, but I go ahead. Bob Polumsky is working with Patrick McMillan in our botanical garden, South Carolina Botanical Gardens. Extension will have a great presence in the new South Carolina Botanical Gardens under direction of Dr. Bob Polumsky, to make sure that we have demonstration plots in the gardens, to make sure that Millie's the seed collection that she's doing has growing the heirloom seeds has a prominent place at Clemson University. And Patrick McMillan is so a breath of fresh air, because when I first came into this job, I said, wait a minute, we got a lot of money going into botanical gardens and I don't see the extension presence. Well, the reason it wasn't is because we didn't ask for it. And so Patrick and Bob are working great together.
And we
his
look
whole
forward,
team is
we
on
hope
there,
that we
so.
are going to be able to be a part of that too, Dr. Dobbins.
You are, yes.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And y'all stay tuned for the next version, because Extension had a great 100 first years, but the next 100 years even going to be better.